Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And guys, I don't say what I'm about to say lightly. This may be the biggest story I've ever talked about. We just tied together the DOJ, the State Department, Operation Thor, the ATF, the Biden White House, Mexican Presidency Administration, $10 billion lawsuit to the gun manufacturers of the U.S., and a gun control advocate who is running the entire thing from a foreign country. Guys, if you know anybody, you need to send this to them now. There will be an email in the description box below if you want more information or anybody wants information, like Senator Grassley, who's looking at all this. Send this one out and please watch this entire video because all the pieces just came together and this could be the biggest scandal in decades. Everything is being linked right down there in the description box, and please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. All right, let's do this quickly, and please watch this whole thing. You guys remember Operation Thor, right? Operation Thor was an ATF program, which we covered on this channel, that was inexplicably defunded by the Biden administration. Now, the weird thing at the time was Operation Thor is an anti-trafficking and straw purchasing operation. By all accounts, was working. Was defunded by a gun control organization, the Biden administration, for no reason. Then they used the idea that there were more guns and more trafficking, more straw purchases to propagate more gun control domestically for all of us. That was my big take prior. And Operation Thor was meant to stop the guns that were going across the border south while drugs were coming north, okay? That's the backstory. Now let me show you a little bit. I'm going to walk you through, and please let me know if I land this plane in the comments and send this one out. ATF whistleblower sheds light on Operation Thor. This is from Bearing Arms. I've actually texted Cam and we're going to connect on this because we're coming from two different angles and I think we've got it. Retired ATF Assistant Director Peter Forcelli is back with me on today's Bearing Arms Cam & Co. with details on Senator Chuck Grassley's investigation into Operation Thor, a multi-agency effort to combat cartel weapons trafficking that was abruptly and inexplicably shut down by the Biden administration. So we're all on the same page there. Now, big hat tip to Cam Edwards because he broke something that I was missing and it literally tied it together. And then I'm going to bring one here at the end you got to see. As Forcelli explains it, Operation Thor was meant to stop weapons trafficking from the U.S. into Mexico, and by all accounts, the effort was fairly successful. But for reasons the Biden administration has yet to explain, the program was suddenly halted in 2022 under Biden's watch, okay? Remember, that's the reason they tried to push gun control. At the same time, all the ATF rules were coming out around our gun rights, all right? Forcelli says Grassley's office reached out to him a few months ago asking him to debrief some of the staff who were digging into the operation and get them up to speed on things like Fast and Furious and how above-board trafficking interdiction typically work. Basically, did they do this right? Walk me through the process so we can know where something feels wrong, okay? That's Senator Grassley. We also covered when Senator Grassley sent a letter on this. Apparently, it wasn't just a letter. Apparently, there's something going on under the scenes. So listen to what this previous assistant director said. So I sat down with them some time ago and explained what happened back then, Forcelli tells Bearing Arms. Now, they obviously didn't tell me everything that's going on in their investigation because that's not how it works. But it seemed that they were focused on why program Operation Thor got defunded, how the cartels are securing weapons, which still involves a degree of straw purchasing here in the U.S., where folks are trafficking those straw-purchased weapons south, but obviously they're still looking the way they're acquiring the weapons. Hold the phone because here's where it starts to blow up, okay? Please, comments, land the plane, let me know. According to Forcelli, the senator's staff appears to be looking beyond just ATF in their investigation. In reading between the lines, I got the impression that they were also looking at some of the decisions made by the State Department, possibly as high up as the ambassador to Mexico. Okay, here's where Mexico comes in. Do you remember that $10 billion lawsuit that the state of Mexico is suing the gun manufacturers for in an effort to circumvent the PLCAA, which protects the gun manufacturers here in the U.S.? Keep that in mind. We've covered all of these. We are about to see a converging of 2 or 3 major stories into one potentially massive scandal. Pay attention on this one because this is massive. If the State Department truly did insert itself into the decision to defund Operation Thor, that raises some serious and troubling questions. this part. We already know that the Obama and Biden administrations previously halted investigations into the alleged ties between the Mexican drug cartels and current President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, supposedly in the name of international diplomacy. They previously halted investigations into the ties between cartels and the sitting presidential administration in Mexico. Okay? Now, I'm sure that's not related at all, except for the one little thing that ties these things together, the $10 billion lawsuit that Obrador is doing against the gun manufacturers. This is insane, and I haven't even shown you who's doing it yet. That's the last piece. Obrador is also currently suing many U.S. gun manufacturers to the tune of $10 billion. And this is where Cam asked an important question. Could it be that Operation Thor was going to show that Mexican officials in the government and armed forces are using their positions to help arm the cartel by diverting legal cells to Mexican law enforcement and the military? That would completely undercut the litigation the Mexican government is pursuing, and Forcelli doesn't discount it as a possible motive behind the shutdown of Operation Thor. Now, that is conjecture. I'm flat out. I can't prove that. However, when you look at everything that I just showed you, and the same guy who has the ties and investigations halted between drug cartels and his administration in the presidency of Mexico is the same guy who is now suing $10 billion to the gun manufacturers in the U.S., to circumvent the PLCAA, you'd say that seems really, really coincidental. Here comes the bow on top. Enjoy this cherry. I hope you love it. Everything is linked. Oh, goodness. Attorney Jonathan Lowy, recognize that name? We've covered this. Whose group, Global Action on Gun Violence, is representing Mexico in the suit. We're arguing that the PLCAA does not apply to cases such as this where the harm was caused abroad. And we're also arguing that PLCAA, even if it's applied, does not bar the cases because there's illegal conduct. Illegal conduct in Mexico, abroad, outside of the PLCAA. Well, who is Jonathan Lowy? This is where the cherry on top comes in. Lowy, who spent more than 20 years advocating for policy reform at the Brady Center to Prevent Gun Violence, founded his group with that global perspective in mind. U.S. politics has been so constraining on policy over the last decade, constraining by preventing us from having the policies the rest of the world has shown can end violence, but also constraining the imagination of what's possible. He founded a gun control organization law firm in Mexico from the Brady organization, and then he's suing from the state of Mexico on the behalf of the president of Mexico, who is directly benefiting from the defunding of Project Thor because it could undermine that same $10 billion lawsuit. And wouldn't you know it, that the Brady campaign, or the Brady Center to Prevent Gun Violence, also has a director in the Office of Gun Violence Prevention named Rob Wilcox. We've covered him. We just went from full circle with the ATF Operation Thor, just became one story by itself, with the $10 billion lawsuit, with the Office of Gun Violence Prevention being three separate stories. They are now linked together with potentially the biggest scandal on the freaking face of the ATF, DOJ, State Department, Biden administration. Everything makes sense, and I can't wait to hear if I landed this plane. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.